3 weeks ago we were pulled off the floors, the 2 nurses and the 3 aides, and brought into the administrator's office. And in that meeting we were told that we were the worst shift when it came to union activity. The administrator also wanted to know what our feelings were on this union business. She also knew that there would be nobody on the floors to look after the 80 people, the 80 residents, within that time period, which upset us a lot, because if someone had fallen, no one would have been there. If a bell was ringing for her to get assistance, no one would have been there.
A lot of the families of the residents are complaining that their families are not being taken care of as well as they should. They ring the buzzer to be taken care of for maybe 30-40 minutes at a time, and nobody comes because they're so short of help that one girl has to take care of 20-30 patients.
Other people and myself have been pulled off the floor, stop caring for the residents, and go talk to anti-union consultants for hours with no one left on the floor, not one CNA on the floor, just 2 nurses to pass out all the medication and answer all the bells. And I don't know what the residents did, because if there was any type of accident, no one would be there, because we had to go and speak to these consultants that ran past quitting time. We actually had to stay, so it was almost like we were mandated to stay and listen to these consultants argue with us about $11.99.
As soon as they started realizing that there were more and more people talking about the union, that's when they started with these meetings. And it was one right after another, and it was constant. There was a time when they had one meeting, they had not one nurse, not one CNA, not one PCA on the floor. If my mother was on that floor and I knew she wasn't being protected, somebody would be in trouble. It's not a way to run a business. It's not a way to take care of people.
So I made the call to work, and I said that I really needed to spend maybe a few days with my brother-in-law. He didn't have that much time left. And again, it was his wife, my sister, had died of brain cancer 6 months prior to this. So this poor man had no one beside him to hold his hand on his deathbed, or to be with him, or to care for him. And I really wanted to do this for him. And I was told on the phone that if I did not get into work the next day at 7 o'clock, I would be terminated. So I said as long as I could with my brother-in-law. My husband picked me up from Long Island at 2 o'clock in the morning, drove me home to Chester, and I did not get any sleep, but I had to be in work at 7 o'clock. I went in at 7 o'clock that next day, and my brother-in-law died 2 days later.
There have been a lot of anti-union flyers all around the building, in the bathrooms, hanging up in the lounge where we sit and eat. Anywhere you can post them, that's where they have them.
It makes us feel like children. Like they're adults trying to tell their children not to do certain things, because if you do them, you're going to be punished for it. That's no way to treat coworkers.
We don't get the respect due us anymore, and I just feel that it's a changed deal.
This was another piece of literature that we found at our facility. I was very offended by it because I am a devout Catholic, and what bothers me the most is I work for a Catholic organization, and this is horrible to even send something like that to us.
The Jesus cartoon, that was pretty nasty. I'm not Catholic, and that intimidated me in a way that, you know, in any part of any religion, it all states the same thing, not to use God's name in vain. They use Jesus' name in vain for a purpose, and it made no sense. It was blasphemy.
To the board of directors, I would really personally like it if you could have a part in stopping Bon Secures from all the intimidation they're placing on not just myself but all of my coworkers in the Warwick campus, because it's affecting the way our residents are cared for.
I don't think it's too much to ask. In fact, I'd really beg you to understand what it's like to work in a health facility that has no union, that has no rights. I think you'd be bigger people if you would say to the administrators, stop with these flyers. Let democracy take its course.
We'd like to sit down and talk with you all instead of you all throwing anti-union flyers and everything at us. That's not the way it's going to work. We have to sit down at the table and we have to talk about it. And don't intimidate us.
We want you to stop the anti-union literature. We want you to stop the consultants. We want a free and fair election.
And it's a sad day in America that this can't happen in a fair, democratic way. I mean, if we're grown up enough to look after the residents, then we should be grown up enough to be able to vote a yes or a no. We just want a fair election.
Stop the harassment and stop the intimidation. Just let it go. Let it flow. Let whatever's going to happen, happen. You don't have a right to tell us how to live our lives. This is America.